So to begin this class, please come to lying down. You could spread a blanket out if you'd like to, because we're going to spend the first half of the class doing Feldenkrais type movements. Do take your time to settle. We've got lots of time. Make sure that if you've got any props or any bricks or anything around you, that they're far away from you, because we're going to be spreading our bodies out. Hi, Tonton, if you want to come to lying on your back. You really want a little bit of room to at least be able to take your arms up above you and out beside you. So just make sure that you have that space. Lovely. And then take your own time to settle. If you're not comfortable with your legs extended, you could have your feet standing on the floor. And beginning to notice how you're feeling. And the first thing you might notice is a racing mind. That's okay. You can welcome in thoughts, emotions, but gradually you might find that your attention drops into the weight of your physical body. And you begin to notice the contact your body is making with the floor. And have a little check-in to where there's a really clear connection with the floor. And where there might be a little space away from the floor, like behind your neck or your lower spine or behind your knee or ankle. And then you might like to notice if there's a difference in the connection between the right and the left side of the body. You might find that you're lighter or more buoyant on one side than the other. And there's no judgment in this, it's just simply your skills of observation that is of interest here. Taking a few more moments to simply bathe in the morning. Maybe opening yourself to sound or the touch of air on your skin. And checking in a moment with your face. Just noticing if the lower jaw is clenched up to the upper jaw. Or if you can perhaps release a little. Softening the tongue. Softening the roof of the mouth and the back of your throat. And then noticing all the tissues around and behind your eyes as you allow your eyeballs to soften, to sink back into your head. And then begin to notice your breath. Air in your nostrils. Maybe air to the back of your nose and down into your throat. Maybe noticing gentle rise and fall of your abdomen and a very gentle pulse. Or you may be more of a chest breather. You may notice that your chest expands and deflates on every breath in and out. Or maybe a combination of both. And you may come to a sense of your whole body breathing, excuse me, breathing itself. And this simple feeling of aliveness that might be present right now. And taking a moment, if you would like to simply ask yourself what's brought you here, when you could be doing one of many other things. What's brought you to practice on your mat this morning? Good morning, Diane. I see you've just joined. We're lying on our backs. And allowing the answer to the question of what might have brought you here today to form a very simple intention, maybe just a word that you can return to. And this class is divided into two parts. We'll spend the first half practicing movements that are influenced by the Feldenkrais method. I can't claim to be a Feldenkrais teacher, but they're influenced by my own practice of Feldenkrais and knowledge. And then we'll move into some slightly more strengthening hatha yoga, asana. So please have your left leg extended if it's not already. And maybe a little bit open out to the left, just allow it to flop. As you stand your right foot on the floor, And your right foot is at about the level, the width of your shoulder. And your arms can just be by your sides for now. And a reminder that with this practice, there is absolutely nothing to achieve. In fact, the less you try and achieve, the more beneficial the practice. It should be really nice if the rest of life was a bit like that. And so beginning now in your own time and without strain to push your right foot into the floor, as if you're trying to push it through the floor. And noticing perhaps that the right buttock peels off a little bit, but the main sensation we're looking for is that the pelvis rolls a little to the left. And when you're ready, just simply let go of that right imprint of the foot and allow the pelvis to settle back down again. And continuing with this simple movement for now. It's not that you're trying to roll all the way over. You're trying to notice the roll of your pelvis and what happens with the rest of your body. And your breathing is just as you want it to be. We're not trying to synchronize the breath. We're trying to be as heavy and as soft as possible. And sometimes when you're not used to this movement, and this happened to me the first time, you find that your whole torso and left leg are somehow rigid and lifting off the floor. And we're really trying to melt into the floor and just simply concentrate on peeling up the right side of the pelvis. And you might find that the right side of your body responds and peels up a little bit. Maybe you feel a movement in the ribs, the side waist. Okay, and then just settling still for a moment. And with your mind's eye, drawing a line from your right hip to your left shoulder. So it's a diagonal line across your upper body. And this time, when you do exactly the same thing, you press into your right foot. You bring into your awareness this diagonal line up to the left shoulder. And you simply notice if this changes your experience. Notice, for example, if there's more weight moving into the left shoulder and a lightness in the right shoulder. There might not be, it doesn't matter. So you're really feeling into the right foot. The pelvis rolls, and you have a diagonal from the right hip to the left shoulder. It's nothing I can observe in you, it's something that you're aware of internally. And then coming to stillness for a moment. And there's just one more thing we're going to add to this. You've got your right foot, you've got the diagonal, but as you press into your right foot now, begin to gently allow your head to roll to the left. And again, notice what happens. Does this obstruct your movement, or is it maybe a little bit more accessible? And then you roll the head back as you settle the right side of the pelvis down. Breathing freely. Remembering the diagonal to your left shoulder as you look to the left. And just for interest's sake, what might it be like to turn your head to the right as you do exactly the same movement with your head, with your foot and the rest of the body? Just notice for yourself if it feels easier or somehow slightly strange. And after a few rounds to the right, return to turning the head to the left again and just see which you prefer, which feels more delicious. Lovely. And then bringing your head back to neutral, sliding your right leg long as you come to absorb what we've done of the practice so far. And sometimes with this practice, you quite quickly notice that your body has a different relationship with the floor. Is there a difference between the right and the left side, for example? Where do you feel heavy? Where do you feel buoyant? Where do you feel the breath moving in your body? Is it in your lower abdomen? Is it in your chest? Are you still soft in the mouth and behind the eyes? And then please stand the left foot on the floor, about shoulder width, allowing your right leg to just relax, maybe roll outwards slightly. And begin in your own time. We begin just with pressing the left foot down. The head stays still. We are not using the diagonal yet. Allowing your pelvis to gently roll to the right. Remembering that we're not really trying to get anywhere. We're allowing ourselves to melt into an awareness of felt sensation. It's the best thing you can do for your nervous system. It's the best thing you can do for the myriad of connections between your physical body and your mind, your neural pathways. Gives us a complete reboot, a refresh. When you're ready, continue Pressing into the left foot, but imagine this diagonal from your left hip to your right shoulder. Just a little reminder, this is not about lifting as high as you can. It's not going to give you any benefit to do that. In fact, the people who are imperceptibly moving are probably receiving the greatest benefits right now. Noticing that diagonal to the right shoulder and how it affects your sensations in the right shoulder and in the left shoulder. Is there any change in the quality of sensation as you move in this way? And when you're ready, join in with your head. As you press into your left foot, turn your head to the right. As you release the foot, turn your head back to neutral. Breathing. And then you can try doing exactly the same thing, but turning your head to the left, just to see how this feels. Just a few times, just to gauge the difference. And then return to turning the head to the right just a few times. And then returning to rest, slide both legs long, arms by your sides. Take a moment to feel the body now. Where do you feel the breath? I don't want to direct you in terms of what you should be feeling because everyone's different, but just as a suggestion, some of you might notice that with these movements, when you come to lying neutral like this, there's a sense of a freer abdomen with the breath, a sense of your abdomen spreading as you breathe in. And that doesn't mean it should be like that, so don't worry if you just don't feel what I'm saying. Okay, please stand your right foot on the floor again, shoulder width apart. But this time we're going to take the left arm above our heads at about, so to the floor. So if for some reason your this just doesn't work for your shoulder, you can rest it on a blanket. And it's not directly above you. I would take it at a little bit of an angle, maybe even, I don't know, say 30 degrees from your neck, your head. And then just settle the arm. And it doesn't matter if the elbow is a little bit bent. Yes, I was thinking about you, Ali, for this one.
Yeah.
I think it should be really good, but just really prop yourself up properly. Okay, and then begin again to press into your right foot. Your pelvis will tilt to the left. And you have the diagonal to your left shoulder. But you might notice that your left arm begins to slide a little behind you, like a little bit of lengthening, but you're not reaching, it's not a stretch. And then when you release the foot, the pelvis rolls back and the arm settles. So continue like this. I'll leave you to practice this with the really important reminder that this is not a stretch, but you might nevertheless feel your knuckles of your hands sliding on the floor. So your right foot is standing on the floor, and you're pushing into the foot to tilt the pelvis over to the left. That awareness of a diagonal from your right hip to your left shoulder. And possibly that left arm slides a little with the movement. And as you continue, maybe observe what's going on in your rib cage. Maybe observe if you feel a slight lengthening in the left side of the body. Notice how you breathe and how you feel in your shoulder blades. You might notice, for example, that as your left arm slides, your right shoulder blade has a little bit more ability to roll off the floor. It might not. And then what might it be like to include your head in the movement? So as you press into the foot, your head rolls to the left. And notice if there's any difference in how much of the right side of the body peels away. So possibly as you continue this with the movement of your head, your eyes are going to kind of settle around your left elbow probably. So it's a little bit of an angle of the head as well. I'm saying this because we're going to take the head at a different angle in a moment. That's really lovely. Can you settle a moment, still with your body in exactly the same position, but with your head neutral? And the final part of this little sequence is going to involve the same pressing in of the right foot, the same diagonal to the left shoulder, the same sliding of the left arm, but this time you're going to roll back on your head as you press into your foot so that you kind of look back towards your fingers. So what will happen here is that your chin will lift and your throat will open. and then you slide back again. So if you can do this with a minimum of effort, that would be really good. It's just a little bit more movement of the head and arching of the neck. Just see what happens to the right side of your body as you do this, and the left side of the body. You might, for example, notice that your left leg slides a little longer. As your head rolls back, your chin lifts, you open your throat, yeah. So I'm not sure if my instructions are clear. I'm seeing most of you, not all of you, most of you are still rolling your head to the left. This is much more of a rolling back on your head. As if you're taking your eyes to try and look behind you, but searching for your fingertips. Yeah, that's much better. See how that feels. And everyone at home, you've decided to have your videos off for some reason today, which is fine. But I can't see anybody. It's looking really good in here. I think maybe some of you have got quite thickly folded blankets under your head, which is going to make this movement of the head much less accessible. You could have a flat blanket. It's going to be much harder to roll your head back if you have a pillow. Okay, and then releasing everything, lying flat on your back, legs extended, left arm gently back down by your side. So your left arm is back down by your side, your right leg is long as you rest and just absorb the goodness. And you notice what you're feeling, the contact with the floor. And then please stand your left foot on the floor about shoulder width and float your right arm to the floor above you, about 30 degrees from the neck, just settling the elbow, settling the wrist, not stretching. And then begin to press into the left foot. Remember the roll of the pelvis, the diagonal to your right shoulder. Your head stays still to begin with, but you might notice your right arm slides. You might feel your knuckles sliding on the floor. And then you settle back again. Take a few rounds like this. Breathing. And again, alert to what you feel down the right side of the body. What you feel in the left side of your body. And when you're ready, join in with your head. So you roll your head to the right. As the right arm slides, and you press into your left foot. And then back again. How much of the left side of your body peels off the floor? If any, doesn't matter if not. When you're ready, begin to roll the head back. So you're looking with your open eyes, because this will also help your eye muscles. You're looking with your open eyes towards your fingertips. Your throat opens, your chin lifts. And continue in your own time, breathing freely, trying to see your fingertips with your eyes. It's looking really good, really subtle movements here in the river. Just a few more moments pressing into the left foot, rolling the eyes back to look at your right hand as you find the hand slides up and behind you a bit. Always with that diagonal from the left hip to the right shoulder. Fantastic. What's interesting to ask yourself is how much does your body yield in these movements and how much does it seize up? Okay, let's come to rest. Let everything go. And now notice where your breath lands in your abdomen, or maybe in your chest. Where do you feel the breath? And is there any difference? How do you feel in yourself? Might you feel some frustration that this has been so gentle so far? Are you chomping at the bit to work your muscles? Or are you really feeling at peace with yourself right now? Might you recall your intention for your practice before we move into the second half, which is completely different from what we've been doing? In your own time and in your own way, please come to meet me in an all fours position. And although the second half of the practice is completely different and that we're coming into more hatha yoga style, what I always hope in these classes is that the benefits of the Feldenkrais can melt into the hatha yoga. So you will need your sticky mat. You want to take your blanket away. And you might want two bricks. And at the end of the class, you definitely want one brick. So if you're not going to use two, I can give you one of mine. If you're at home, maybe have books or something like that. So there's going to be a certain amount of this practice on our knees. So if you're delicate on the knees, you might want to double up your mat. You might want to place a blanket under your knees. And as you meet me in an all fours position, becoming aware of the length of your spine, becoming aware of how you feel in your ribs, and an awareness of your pelvis, which has so far been tilting from side to side. But now we're going to begin to tilt the pelvis forwards, so your belly drops. If you had a tail, it would be lifting. Your chest opens, and maybe your throat opens. And then in your own time, you tilt the pelvis back. And some of you might like to begin to feel that there's a lift of your pelvic floor. Your navel is pulling towards the spine, your chin to your chest. And I would like you, rather than me say breathe in and breathe out at any particular time, I'd like you to find what feels like a good way to breathe. You might arch your back and take 3 breaths in doing so. Or you might arch your back and breathe out just once, or in just once. But apart from the gentle tilting of the pelvis and the ripple of the spine, I'd really love for you to bring your awareness to the muscles of your pelvic floor and of the part of your abdomen that is closest to the spine, especially when you bring your chin into your chest. It's almost like a little squeeze. You might even pause. Usually that would coincide with the breath out, but again, I want you to find your way. And then you let it all go as you drop your belly to the floor. And your tail lifts. Fantastic. And then please come to neutral spine again and slide your right leg behind you with the toes curled under. And all we're going to do is simply lift the right leg without turning the hip. We're trying to keep absolutely stable, toes pointing to the floor. Feel the strength of your abdomen as you do this, and then drop your toes to the floor slowly. Let's just do that a few more times with stability, with attention. You can even push through the heel a little if you want to feel a bit more of the length that you might have nurtured in the Feldenkrais. One of these times that you come up, can you stay up and take 3 full breaths in and out? Turning the toes a little to the left. This will help your hip turn around. Internal rotation. Can you feel that your stability, there's effort here compared to Feldenkrais. This is where there's effort. Toes the other way, Ali. Take a full breath in. And then allow your toes to come to the floor. Take a breath in and out. And now inhaling, lift up that right leg. You might like to lift it higher this time as you open your chest. I said inhale out of practice, out of habit. And when you're ready, bring your knee into your nose and scoop up. And then reach your leg out behind you, open chest. And then knee to nose. Usually you do this part on the exhale, but maybe that doesn't suit you. And then one more time. Looking really good, knee to nose. And then reach your leg out behind you. Look over your right shoulder as you drop the right foot to the floor now. So let's just take a little bit of time to align ourselves here. You want your left hand right under your left shoulder so that you feel strong there. And your left lower leg, you might need to swivel it out behind you for balance. And you're pressing into your right foot. It's about 45 degrees. And then breathe as you lift up your right arm. And I'd like you to feel all of your extremities here, your left hand, your right foot, your right hand, top of your head. Maybe you look up to your right fingers. Maybe you reach your right arm over your ear. A little bit more sensation in the side body. So this is so different from Feldenkrais because I'm asking you to reach and to stretch. There's strength happening. Take a full breath in and then look down and place your right hand down and your right knee, bring it back again. Fantastic. On the next breath in, going to look over your right shoulder as you lift your right arm up to the ceiling. Peeling open. And then slide the arm under to the left, come down on the right shoulder, the side of your head. Press into your left hand as you peel open again, probably breathing in. And peel through. And then one more time, come up. And can you stay up and bring your left hand onto your fingertips? And see how this gives you a little bit more rotation of the ribs, maybe a little bit more sensation. And then you're going to thread the arm through, but now to stay for a few breaths. So if you need to, you might need to place a blanket or a cushion under your right shoulder, your right head. And to begin with, I'd like you to make a little sprung hand of the left hand. So you're pushing into your left fingertips. You probably find your elbows at about a right angle. And as you do this, you can probably feel your left shoulder blade. And then begin to roll over onto the back of your head a little bit, if you can. So this is the first stage, and this might be plenty enough for you. You might want to roll back again. Move in and out. Some of you might like to lift up the left arm, fingers pointing towards the ceiling. I'm going to just talk you through the stages and you choose exactly where is right for you today. Some of you might take the left hand to your lower back, maybe even to the top of the right thigh. And then you're looking over your left shoulder and you get a really lovely rotation of the ribs and the thoracic spine. Some of you might like to curl under the left toes and slide the leg long. Roll a little bit more onto the back of your head. And only some of you might like to float the left leg up so you come into a balance, which is very strengthening for the core. Are you breathing? Are you present? Taking a full breath in and then gently release everything back. So your left knee comes back, your left hand comes back. and you open out to the right. Yeah, so it's much, much harder than the first part of the class. Please only, and bring the hand back down, yeah. Please only, when things get a little bit stronger like this, please only do it to the stage that's right for you. So it's a mixed ability class as always. So some people who love core strength, love balance, and then the final stage of that's for you if you're one of those people. Some people like to rest. It's all good. Let's take it to the left. Oh, totally. We haven't actually done anything on the left yet, have we at all? We haven't taken the left leg behind us. Just take the left leg behind. And come to an awareness of your spine. And then you lift the left leg. Toes turning around to the right. And you drop the foot. And steadily continue a few rounds. Noticing how you gather around the abdominal muscles and the pelvic floor as you lift the leg to support the lower back. One of these times, come up and stay up for a few breaths. Notice how your breath might alter. Take a full breath in and then gently drop the foot. And then we lift the leg, maybe a bit higher, we open the chest, maybe lift the chin, and knee to nose, really draw yourself in, contracting the front body into the back body. And then reaching. And knee to nose. And then reaching. And then knee to nose, beautiful. And then reaching, and look over your left shoulder. Maybe turn your foot a little to the left before you take the foot to the floor. Making sure that your right hand is right under the shoulder and your right lower leg might swivel out a bit behind you to balance. And then you reach up with the left arm. So let's feel the connection now into the right hand and the left foot, and then that reaching for the ceiling. How's your breath? Do you want to float your raised arm over your ear, reaching beyond it with your hand? Does that feel good? What happens if you press a bit more into that foot and you reach it a little bit more with a hand? Wonderful. And then dropping the left hand and bringing the knee back again. Take a breath. And then lifting up the left arm, reaching up, rotating the ribs and threading the arm through to the right. And reaching up and threading through. And this time you reach up and you stay for a moment, coming onto sprung right fingertips and just seeing if your ribs rotate a little bit more before you thread through to come and stay. So the first stage of this is where you simply come onto your right fingertips and you roll a little bit over the back of your head, feeling into the right shoulder blade. And that's plenty. You can roll forwards and back. Or maybe you lift up your right arm and roll over your head. Maybe you take your hand behind your back to the top of the left thigh. So you're really rolling the right shoulder back. Looking over it will help you rotate the ribs a bit more. Only curl under the right toes and slide the leg long if that is right for you. First of all, notice your breath before you just plunge into the next stage. Only if you feel stable and you want to, float that leg up. Push through the heel and find your stability and your strength. And then gently, gently replace the knee, replace the right hand. And we'll take a final opening to the left before we settle into child's pose, just to come into rest and stillness. Your knees could be together, they could be apart. You could have something under your forehead. Becoming very still, very quiet. And you might notice a brightness around the ribs. If you need to go to the loo, you need to go outside the building, right around the bottom. How are you doing with the relationship between your lower jaw and your upper jaw right now? How soft is your heart space? The back of your ribs? The front of your ribs? The back of your throat? Please come to kneeling again. And just to say, this time you might want to have a brick on either side. We're going to come into a little bit of lunging, but you don't necessarily need to. So just have them ready. Is everyone doing okay? Strength-wise, exertion-wise, yeah? So let's take the right leg behind us again and lift it up. This time I'm going to instruct you with the breath. Inhale here, and as you exhale, bring your knee towards the top of your right arm. So you're really scrunching into the right side of the body. And then extend again behind you. And then knee right almost into the armpit, or the top of the right arm. Fantastic. And then one more time. Knee to the top of the arm. And then just release your leg out behind you. And we're going to bring the foot forwards. You're either going to just step it forwards, or you might need to do it another way. It doesn't matter how you do it. But I want you to make sure that your front knee is over your ankle. And you can slide the back knee as far back as feels right for you. And feel free to curl under the toes if you like, the back foot. And this is where some of you will need a hand on each brick. It's absolutely fine. And first of all, settle a little. Roll the shoulders back. A little bit of an open chest. In fact, you do need to curl under the toes of the back foot for what we're going to do. Try lifting the back knee, maybe with a breath in. And really charging up that back leg. And then as you breathe out, drop the knee. Gorgeous. And then let's try again. Lift. Really push out through that back heel. And come back down. And then let's come up one more time. And stay if you can. You can always drop the back knee if you need to. But whichever you're doing, I want you to really roll back the shoulders. That's so lovely, Ali. And come to a sense of a line from the top of your head all the way down the spine to the back heel. And smile your collarbones. Great. Strengthen the legs now. Take a full breath in and then drop the back knee. And plant your left hand on the floor, not on a brick. And then begin to look over your right shoulder and lift the right arm. So we come into a lovely little twist. So we've done a lot on the ribs and the thoracic spine. So you should feel maybe quite a lot of space here, quite a lot of joy in this twist. And you're welcome to stay like you are. You're welcome to come out. Some of you might like to lift the back knee. It's not obligatory. Sometimes it gives us more space to turn, to breathe. Take a full breath in and then gently return. Slide your knee back to an all fours position. Notice your breath. And then take the left leg behind you and lift it in the air. Inhale. Exhale, knee all the way along the side of the body towards the top of the arm. Feel that little crunch. And then lengthen. And knee to the top of the arm. So it's the left leg. And one more time. And then lengthen. And in your own way, bring the left foot forwards. Line up the knee with the ankle. Slide the back knee back as much as you feel is good. And curl under the toes. And breathe here. Roll the shoulders back. Open chest. Everyone's looking so good. And as you breathe in, lift up the back knee. Feel the muscles of the legs hug to the bones. And then drop the knee on a breath out. And again, lift. Push through that heel. And drop. And the last time you come up, you have the option of staying up or dropping the knee. But as you stay up, really roll the shoulders back. Come to a sense of that line from the top of your head all the way to the back heel. And your shoulder blade, not your shoulder blades, your collarbones smile. Breathe brightness into the pose. Fantastic. Full breath in. And then drop the knee. And plant your right hand down. And take a little twist to the left with the option of lifting the back knee if you want to, not necessary. And breathe. Find your stability. Find your breath. Take a full breath in. And then gently bring the hand down and come and rest in the child's pose. What do you notice as you settle here for just a few more breaths? What's going on for you? Can you release a little deeper? And then please meet me on all fours and bring your right foot forwards again. This time we sit up high. And this might well need a bit of cushioning for the back knee. I'd like you, I'll do it this way. I'd like you to have your right hand on your thigh and your left arm dangling. And it doesn't, you might find the pelvis moves a bit forwards, but I'd rather use your abdominal strength to keep you quite straight. And then just take your left palm out beside you, so it's facing out. And we're going to reach to the left, as if we're scooping ice cream, come over the head and over to the right. So we're getting into the side body. And then do that again, reach to the left, really wide open palm. Come over your head. Can you feel the left side body? Lovely. And then one more time, reach and come over. And then take your left hand to the right knee. And we do the same thing with the right arm. Just let it dangle first. Reach to the right and come over. Reach to the right and come over. Reach to the right and come over. And then from here, lift both arms up, Anjaneyasana. And now you can allow your pelvis to drop forwards. Maybe look up in between your hands. Some of you, and this is not really appropriate for a gentle class, but I'm aware of the mixed ability in the class. Some of you might like to curl under the back toes and lift the knee and come into a full Ashta Chandrasana, high crescent lunge. Take a full breath in and then release. And slowly come to the other side. So left foot forwards. And you've got your left hand on the thigh, your right arm dangling. Nice engagement in the lower abdomen. And then you begin to scoop to the right and come over. Can you feel, oh, it just feels so delicious on the right side of the body. And then scoop to the right. Come over. And then scoop to the right. And come over. When you're ready, place the right hand on the knee. Dangle your left arm down beside you. And then scoop to the left. And come over. And then scoop to the left. And come over. And then one more time. And then from here, floating both arms up, if that is right for you. Allow the pelvis to drop forward so you get a little bit more opening in the front of the right hip, the thigh. Most probably you stay here. Some of you might like to lift the back knee and come into full lunge, but it doesn't make it a better practice. It depends on what you need right now. Breathe. Beautiful. And then we return to rest and shine. Taking the opportunity to really settle into sensation, to settle into the breath. Check in with your jaw, your eyes, your mouth, your shoulders and your throat. Okay, if you would like to come up onto your hands, curl your toes under. What we're about to do, I usually do near the beginning of the class, but we're coming into downward dog right, or quite close towards the end. So for this version of downward dog, so Rosie, I don't think you've done this with me. I think everyone else is used to it, but you just sit back towards your heels, toes curled under, toes curled under.
And you're not pressing into your hands, you're just softening, allowing the neck to flop, coming into a quietness in the shoulders. So it's not a child's pose, although you might feel your ribs, your belly on your thighs. When you're ready, from the quietness that you find here, begin to lift your knees, trying to keep your belly and your chest to your thighs. Slowly lift and unfold. Your heels are high, and eventually your heels might come towards the floor. So this version, as most of you know, takes the pressure off the upper body and we work the lower body. Then you bend the knees and you slowly, slowly come back down again until you're all the way back with your knees on the floor. Please continue in your own time. The more slowly you unfold, the better it is for you. And some of you might find it quite tiring, in which case you rest in child. Otherwise, keep going, folding and unfolding. So we're not staying in a static dog for now.
So if you haven't practiced yoga for a month, this is going to feel quite strong on the legs, probably. Definitely did for me. Try and not make it about pushing into your hands. I know that's counterintuitive. Try and take the weight back to your legs to help you unfold. Next time you're up, please stay up. And maybe here, take a few breaths just to feel into the space of your Adho Mukha Svanasana, your downward dog. You might like to lift both heels, you might like to bend your knees, whatever feels good. You might like to press into your hands and see what this feels like now. And then look towards your hands and walk or step your feet forwards. And dangle a moment. Just like a rag doll. Breathe. And then press into your feet and gently come up, bringing your arms up over your head. Hands to the heart. Take a moment to feel the body. A moment to feel your feet. So I'm going to give you a little challenge, part of which I've given every class this week. I think it was maybe the Wednesday night. So it's important, because it's a gentle yoga class, it's important that you take this, even more than in other classes, it's important you take it according to how you're feeling. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to demonstrate this little sequence so you can watch what I'm doing and then you kind of know what's coming. We're going to start at the front of our mat in a tree. So you might have your right heel into the ankle if you don't want to come all the way up with the foot in the thigh. Then you find your tree. I'm not going to over-instruct it. You find your tree and you take a few breaths. And because we haven't been balancing particularly, this left leg might feel a bit wobbly, that's okay. Now the challenge is this. Can you, from your tree, step elegantly back into a warrior one? And then we're going to do something in warrior one that I'll show you afterwards. And then can you lift up the back heel and gently step back up into your tree? That's the challenge, and it doesn't matter if you fall over. It's just for fun. No. Yes. So, strengthening into your left leg. This is the last part of the physical practice. We come down and rest after this. Okay. Take out your right knee, and you could tuck the heel into the ankle, or bring the foot somewhere up the leg. Just don't push your heel into your knee socket. Let's start with your hands at your heart. Maybe lift the arms. And take a few breaths, eyes gently gazing to one point. And this is where it's super important to become soft in the face, in the mouth. And then can you gently slide the right foot away from the left leg and reach back? Now make sure your feet aren't walking a tightrope, so walk the left foot out. The right foot is down at about 45 degrees. And then bend into the left knee as you bring your hands to your hips. Lovely. So we've got strong back leg. We've got a little bit of engagement of the lower abdomen. This is to support the lower back. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did on our knees. Take the left hand to the knee and your right arm by your side. And we're going to do the ice cream scoop. Reach to the right and come over. Reach to the right and come over. Strong legs. Reach to the right and come over. And then take the right hand to the leg. Dangle the left arm down. And then reach to the left and scoop over. Reach to the left and scoop over. One more time. And then from here, maybe float both arms up. Maybe your hands, eyes look at your hands. And we're looking for all that length we created in the Feldenkrais. We're looking for the length all the way up the side of the ribs, the side waist. Beautiful, Dave. From here, look forwards and bring your back foot so that you're on the toes, but the heel is up. So rather than the heel on the floor. And this is like crazy stuff. You might not really want to do this, but you could see if it's possible to step forwards with the right foot and come into tree without taking the right foot down. Smile. Fantastic, fantastic. And then gently bring your hands to your heart. Place the right foot down. Well, that was pretty spectacular in the room. Take a moment breathing just before we take that challenge to the other side. Maybe it's not a challenge. Is challenge enough for Friday morning? Yeah. Okay. The right leg is standing, but keep it strong. Turn the left knee out. Maybe the heel comes into the ankle. Maybe you come higher up the leg. Find your breath, find your gaze. Find the length in your side body. And then when you're ready, very delicately slide the left foot away and step it back. Remember to take your feet apart so they're not walking a tightrope. And we come down into the right knee with our hands to our hips to begin with. Just to find the ground, find stability. Right hand to the leg. Left arm by your side. And then begin to scoop up to the left and come over. And scoop out to the left and come over. Scoop out to the left and come over. Place the left hand on the leg. Right arm by your sides. Scoop out to the right. And come over. Scoop out, beautiful, to the right. Come over. Scoop out to the right. And come over. And then if it's right for you, float both arms up for warrior one, Virabhadrasana one. All about the length in the side body and the strength in the abdomen to support your lower back. Coming to lift the back heel, so you're on your toes. It's more of a crescent lunge. And maybe or maybe not, you lightly step back up the tree. And you breathe. And you gently, hands to the heart, lower the foot. And just take a moment to settle, feel the body. You might close your eyes. Notice the quality of your breath. And in your own time, come to lying on your backs with a brick handy. So first of all, simply lie with our feet on the floor. And just allow yourself to luxuriate, to feel the whole body sinking. We've worked quite hard in the second half of the practice. And you might find that you just want to stay here and go straight into Shavasana, and that is totally fine. Or you might like to press into both feet to lift up your pelvis so you can slide the brick underneath. Remembering that the brick is much lower down than you think. It's about halfway down your buttocks, so you're not cutting into the spine. Really feel the weight of your sacrum pouring down into the brick. And I'll leave you to choose the height of the brick that you want. You might want to come up a notch if you want slightly more of an opening in the front of the body. But then we're going to bring our right knee in towards us with our hands. A little bit of a squeeze of the right knee into the chest. Probably better on the lower height of the brick for the moment, actually. Yeah. And just have a little wriggle around in that right hip, a little circle with the knee. And decide if you want to stay here or if it might feel really nice to slide the left leg along. Some of you might have enough flexibility to bring your right elbow around the knee, to draw the knee in as you hold onto your right wrist with the left hand. Does it make it better? And then we drop and we soften for a few breaths into this Psoas Release pose. And then gently take the right foot down to the floor. Bring the left knee in towards you with your hands and have a little circle in the hip. Just feel around. Until you're ready to draw the left knee in towards you, maybe slide the right leg long. And you breathe and you soften and you let go. Wonderful. And then in your own time, either take both feet to the floor or slide both legs long. for a supported bridge. And this is when you might want to take the brick up a notch, and you might like to float your arms over your head if that is right for you. Please don't take the brick to the highest level. And take a few huge, expansive breaths into the front of the body. And as you exhale, feel your sacrum dropping into the brick. And then in your own time, standing your feet on the floor and pressing into them enough so that you can lift your pelvis from the brick and you can slide the brick away. And then come down slowly so that each vertebra can find the mat, the sacrum can find the mat. And then doing whatever you need to do to prepare for Shavasana. I've run over a bit, so it's 28 past 11, but I'd like to give you a full 5 minutes. If that's okay with everybody. If anyone has to leave at 11:30 on the dot, that's understandable. At home, if you need to leave, that's absolutely fine as well. But please now make sure you're warm enough, you're comfortable. You're coming back to where you started right at the beginning, where I asked you to just inquire into the connection between the back of your body and the floor. Inquire into your breath, into whatever else is present right now. And I'm going to read a poem. It's a poem, a poem that's often heard around New Year, although it's barely New Year now, by John O'Donoghue, called For a New Beginning. In out-of-the-way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge. For a long time, it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the grey promises that sameness whispered, heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondered, would you always live like this? Then the delight when your courage kindled and out you stepped onto new ground, your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you. Though your destination is not yet clear, you can trust the promise of this opening. Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning that is at one with your life's desire. Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk. And soon you will home in a new rhythm, for your soul senses the world that awaits you. I'm beginning to take a few slightly deeper breaths now. Feeling the rise and fall of your abdomen with the breath. Maybe licking your lips, maybe rolling your head gently from side to side. And bringing any other gentle movements into your joints, any stretching, any rolling that makes your transition just what you need out of Shavasana. Maybe to rolling onto one side of the body. Maybe eventually, not maybe, definitely eventually coming up to meet me sitting. Eyes closed, just to come to observe what you're feeling. There's no hurry, at least not for me. And as you come to sitting, if you maybe would like to recall any intention you set at the beginning of the practice, and take a moment to simply observe how you're feeling physically, your breath, energetically. And then taking a full breath into the heart. And as you breathe out, lowering your chin to your chest. As you breathe in, lifting your head gently and opening your eyes into the morning. Namaste. Thank you very much.